Whenever my personal growth friends and I get together, this one question comes up a lot. Jasmine, how much content are you consuming? Jasmine, how much content should I be consuming? And I don't mean like TV content or entertainment or movies or Instagram, social media. I mean, how much personal development, self-improvement content should I be taking in every single day? And there's 1,000 different people out there who'll give you 1,000 different standards for what's the right amount of content to be consuming every single day. And I think it comes down to alignment. I think it comes down to what feels good for you. There's a million ways you could go about this, and a lot of people who start their journey start in one place with consuming content, and then as they progress, something changes, and they go through a new phase of how they take in content and integrate it into their life. And for a lot of people, when they go through that phase, they feel as though they're being inconsistent, right? Like somehow if I start engaging with content differently, I'll be inconsistent. And I totally went through that. I started my journey in a certain kind of way, engaging with content, interacting, integrating it. And then as I went through and took different opportunities and started going to seminars and then starting to go to dozens of seminars, things changed. And that's okay. So my goal today, my outcome today with you guys in this video is to share with you the 3 different ways people take in content and how to decide what feels best to you, what's most in alignment for you right now, and being intentional about it on the front end. So rather than getting to the back end of like the end of your week, like Friday or Sunday night, you're like, shit, I didn't, listen to all the podcasts I wanted to, or I didn't integrate as much stuff as I wanted to. If you know on the front end, right, on Sunday night how you want to move forward with the week, you won't get to the end of the week and think, dang it, I'm not doing enough. There's enough of that chronic, I'm not doing enough thing in our society. So let's just cut that right now. I'm gonna share with you the three ways that people consume content. All right, so way number 1 is my newbies. And what I mean by that is this is the typical way that people who are new to personal development consume content. Maybe it's like 1 to 2 years into your self-help journey, and you're taking in as much as you can. Because when you start to receive access to this other way of thinking, the quantum leaps just happen left and right? Like you're just having all these paradigm shifts, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I just want to be in this all the time. And so you never get in the car without turning a podcast on. You never wash dishes without listening to an audiobook, right? You use all your net time. You are in this stuff all the time. It's all you want to talk about. It's all you want to think about. Usually, people in this stage, not always, but usually they have a job, and they have a job, and they're starting to think about business, but they're not totally sure yet because maybe it could give them the freedom that they're really seeking for, where maybe they can really live all this stuff better if they have a business, or they get into business somehow, some way. They see it as a way to get to like new financial levels quicker, but they're a newbie, right? They're a newbie, and their mindset is like, oh my God, I'm so thirsty. Give me all this content right now. Okay, so here's where I'll pause, because a lot of people would make the debate, right? They would make the debate that this is how you should live in personal development all the time. Meaning you should attack everything like it's the first time you heard it. And to some degree, I completely agree with that. Yeah. But I have to say there are times when this wasn't the most intentional way for me to dig into my personal development. And there's really 2 schools of thought here with this like newbie game. The first is like my subconscious will pick it up, right? So we have 2 parts of our brain. We have a conscious brain and an other than conscious brain, or subconscious brain, or an unconscious brain, whatever you want to call it, okay? And it's like the idea that you're in a room, right? Let's say you're at a party, and you're having a conversation, and you're deep in conversation with someone, and then someone over there says your name, and you're like, huh? Right? Because your other than conscious brain was hearing it. So when things come in right through our senses, our unconscious brain picks all of it up, but really only the conscious brain picks up the stuff that we feel like we need to know for the present moment, okay? So some people say, okay, well, if I'm driving and I'm kind of zoned out, but I have an audiobook going on, my subconscious brain is gonna pick it up. So I'm gonna have it, I'm gonna have that content, that information for when I need to put it into action. Okay, my buddy Ryder, he's a huge fan of this. He's always like, he's literally immersed pretty much all the time. Or Steve, who's a facilitator in our mastermind, he kind of does this with note taking. So when he's taking notes about something someone's saying or on a call or while listening to a book or whatever, he doesn't even save the notes. He's just like, okay, my unconscious has it and moves it along. So that's what some people think, right? And so that's the argument for immersion all the time. But there's this second piece I want to bring to you guys, which is what I've found, in that if I want to create space to, well, create my own content, my own, the book I'm writing, offers I'm bringing to people, new strategies, all of that for me personally comes from space, which means I need to get quiet. So for me, and I know this is true for some other people, maybe not everyone, but when I have constant input all the time, it doesn't help me. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help me think. It doesn't help me create. So some of my best ideas come from the space of washing dishes and not listening to a podcast, or driving with some of my favorite music on, or in lightly, or waking up in the morning and not reading a book until later in the afternoon. So there's these two schools of thought, and here's the thing is, I'm gonna go through the rest of these, right? There's two more big ones. You might find yourself in different places. You might say, oh, I remember part of my journey I was a newbie, and then part of my journey I was here, and then part of my journey I was there. But it's really important to pay attention to, like, when you create the space in your life, what happens for you versus when you immerse, what happens for you. Different strokes for different folks, okay? Only you can know what's the best for you, but I'd like to know, so drop a comment below this, wherever this video is, okay? And let us know what it means for you. Stay here, stay engaged with me. All right, so once we have our newbies, we're moving right along to people who are looking for specialized knowledge. Specialized knowledge, okay? So usually, you know, you're super immersed, you're a newbie, you're really excited, and then 1 to 2 years down the road, something happens and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the thing I need to learn. And there's two main ways people consume content for the purpose of attaining specialized knowledge. Right? So rather than just like, let me get my hands on anything I can, it's like, I want to figure out this thing. I want to figure out this thing. And the first one is for a certain topic. So this happened to me, yeah, about I'd say probably 2.5, maybe 3 years into my growth journey. I was at a Tony Robbins event. I was at UPW. I was staying it was my first time crewing, and I was staying in an Airbnb with these amazing people who were further along down the path than me. They'd done some more events. They had some more experience, they had more skills, they were just further on down this road than I was. And gosh, I think there was like 7 of us in an Airbnb with like 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. It was crazy. So we got really close really quickly. What happened those late nights after fire walks and Dickens processes and all this stuff was we'd come back and we'd share. We'd share things that came up for us. And there was this theme, there was this current to the conversation having to do with masculine and feminine energy, which if you want more information on what that is, the podcasts that I've spoke on are linked below. I talk a lot about masculine and feminine energy. So without going into that too much, it was one of those paradigm shifts for me. And I realized, oh my gosh, I've been living in an illusion. I've like been living with this illusion of what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman, and the energy that I need to bring to the world to make shit happen and get it done. And like, it was like, you know, like the little emoji with like the clouds above its head, like just, that was what it was like, okay? And so I realized I need to figure out everything I can about this, especially because I was going through some like gnarly stuff with guys. like just emotionally, like, you know. So for 6 months that I did this newbie immersion thing, but about a certain topic, about masculinity and femininity. And for 6 months, I read anything I could get my hands on. I listened to anything that I could with the intention of gaining this specialized knowledge about this topic so that I could live it in action. And that's what I did for 6 months. And now people ask me all the time, like, how do you know all this stuff? Because I did that. Chances are there's something in your life. I'm asking you, what is that thing? Where you were like, oh my God, this is so fascinating. Oh my gosh, this is gonna change my life. Oh my gosh, I wanna learn about this topic. And I don't mean like a certain influencer, because I didn't just go and read Alison Armstrong's book on masculinity and femininity. I read everything. Like, I was hanging out in Barnes & Noble in that section, okay? So what's like a topic that you've done that with? Maybe you haven't yet. Maybe it's still yet to come. The other kind of specialized knowledge is when you have a certain target, you have a certain objective, meaning there's something very specific, a SMART goal, if you will. The best thing I can think of here is my target to create more engagement in social media. It's kind of an ongoing thing now, but when I got started years ago, I had this target of like, I want to hit X number of followers on Instagram. And I think it was like, I want to hit X number of followers and have X engagement, you know, have this many comments on my posts and this many likes. And so I had these targets. And so I was doing, all my personal development at that time was focused around this target. I wanted to hit it. And I only read and took in content that helped me hit that target. The difference is between topical and targeted. When I hit the target, I stopped. When I hit the target, I stopped. I still read stuff on this, right? I still read stuff on this. But when I hit the target, I stopped. Once I hit like 5,000 followers or something, I was like, okay, done, hit it, moving on. You know, and I can still go back and use that information, but it was like, I have a very specific goal, and once it is done, it is done. Like, have you ever taken a course or done something online and you wanted a certain piece of information from the course? And let's say it was in like the course is 5 modules and it's module 2, and you get through module 2 and you're like, okay, I'm done. You didn't need to listen to modules 3, 4, and 5. It didn't fucking matter because you just wanted to hit this fucking target. And once I taught that to you, you were done, right? Yeah, so that's targeted. Okay, so this is different than newbies because it's like maybe you only do this an hour a day. You're just getting way more intentional about the content that you're consuming. So if you're there, if you've been there, let us know below, because that's how we learn, right? Best way we learn is if we engage with it. So hey, engage with me. And also teach it. So have a conversation with your friends. Let them know about this. Give them that distinction between topical and targeted and say, where are you at right now? Maybe you already know a friend who's there right now. All right, and our third way to consume content is to be an MG, which stands for mountain goat. So this is what I call the mountain goat method. Most of the people who I know doing the mountain goat method are people who've been in a personal development a long time, meaning like they've been to 20 seminars, or you know, they've been reading books for 10 years. That's what I consider a long time. Okay, and this is when you find something that makes it click for you. Like you read that one book and light bulbs left and right, and you think, oh, like when you're reading a book and you out loud have to be like, yes, or like, like this guy is nailing it, right? Like that is a book for you that you could use the mountain goat method for. What I mean by that is you reread it and you start to integrate it on many different levels. So a great example for this from both myself and a lot of people that I know is Think and Grow Rich. Okay, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you haven't heard of it, please go get it. It is the granddaddy of all personal development. It's a classic. It's a classic for a reason. Gosh, he was so far ahead of his time. And it's because Think and Grow Rich has like layers to it. It's one of those books, every time you read it, you have new insights. You realize you can integrate it deeper, and for a lot of people, it makes things click. It makes things click. So people doing the mountain goat method, maybe they read that once a year. Maybe they read a few pages every single day. Once you have a couple of those resources, I know a lot of people, they just rotate through those 4 books, just over and over and over and over and over again. The challenge here is to have the discipline of like having no shiny object syndrome. It's like when you find the weight loss strategy that works for you, right? Like keto works, vegan works, paleo works, all kinds of stuff work for weight loss. And a lot of people go through a lot of things before they find the one that just like really works for them. The danger is if, let's say you find keto works and then your best friend starts doing a high carb diet, a fruitarian diet, and you're like, oh, that's working for her. Like that might be fun, right? That's shiny object syndrome. And then you're using the strategy that's not working for you, or you're shifting strategies too much. That's a challenge, is having the discipline to see the shiny object and know it's not gonna serve you because you gotta stay on the path that you are. You've decided to be a mountain goat for the time being. This is about being super intentional about your growth. This is about being super intentional about your growth. And for me, I have 2 books that I read every day, right? 2. One is Think and Grow Rich. One is called A Happy Pocket Full of Money by a guy named David Cameron Giocondi. You can get it on Amazon. Great resource. It's in our resources guide, actually, which I think you can find below here. So those are our 3. Newbie, specialized knowledge, and being an MG, a mountain goat, using the mountain goat method. You might be a combination. Maybe you're like, have been in specialized knowledge working on this topic, but you also have a couple that you rotate through every night, right? Every night you read 3 pages of something that you know was the game changer for you. That book was everything. It makes all the lights go on. Maybe you're a newbie. You're just in full immersion. And hey, this is a great place to go back to if you're ever in a rut. Like if you're ever in a rut and you're just like, fuck, I can't figure this shit out. What is going on? I am better than this. I don't know what's going on with me. Like if you're in one of those like spirals, just like, stop thinking and just go take in some content on repeat for like a day. Give yourself a seminar, right? Like literally give yourself a seminar. Sit at home on a Saturday, call up a friend, even if it's virtual, and just be like, I just need you to sit with me for 4 hours and fucking watch videos or listen to an audiobook or go through an audio program. I have friends who've done that with many audio programs. They've like had a friend and they get together for a whole weekend and listen to a whole audio program, give it to themselves as a seminar, jump up and down and go through the exercises together and share. Do the practice stuff together. Great way to get yourself out of a rut is just go be a newbie. Just go be a newbie for a weekend again. You can always go back here. And this is where I revert to when I'm at a seminar. Like when I'm at a seminar, I write things down like I have never heard them before. Someone says that quote, where focus goes, energy flows, over and over and over again, right? Or what's the other one? The flower plant doesn't have energy, it generates energy. Like the things that I've heard over and over and over again, I write them down like it's the first time I've heard them. So there's always a time to go back and be a newbie, right? Because honestly, the more we learn, we realize the less we know. So it's always a good time to go back there. And this is just something to, like, if you're going through a specific challenge in your life and you're ready to make a quantum leap in that one area, go do that. Go do that. Go get some specialized knowledge. And being an MG, I really think everyone should be an MG, a mountain goat, when they've found that one book. When you find that first book that really just strikes a chord and you think, damn, like this is everything. Once you've gotten through about 6 months of books, maybe you've gotten through 10 or so books, you'll probably find that at least one of them. That's when you start putting it by your bed. That's when you read it for 5 minutes when you get up or 5 minutes when you go to sleep, and you just always staying tapped into that. Thanks so much for being here. Cannot wait to read your comments below, and we'll see you soon. Bye.